Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. As you can probably tell from the background, we are going to be doing another Kingdom Keepers video, and this one is to celebrate the upcoming release of Kingdom Keepers Inheritance. So for this video, it is going to be another one of the what I want type videos. So this is going to be what I want out of Kingdom Keepers Inheritance. So just like the what I want for To Sleep in a Sea of Stars sequel video, if you guys saw that video, is just going to be me very quickly running down what I want specifically out of the Kingdom Keepers Inheritance video. It's not going to be too long, and I'm going to keep everything pretty brief, but this is going to be just a very fun video to get my thoughts and my expectations for Kingdom Keepers Inheritance out there, and I really want to see what you guys want out of Kingdom Keepers Inheritance. So leave your expectations down in the comments. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I really want to talk about is the OG Keepers and their role within this book. As far as I'm concerned, I do absolutely want the original Keepers to have a role in this book. Obviously, they need to. It's a Kingdom Keepers sequel series. You can't exactly have this happen without the original Keepers having a somewhat significant part from the book. But I really want Pearson to keep the original Keepers parts very small. I have a feeling that this book is largely going to be about the kids, obviously. That's why it's called Inheritance. It's gonna all be about their kids. But I still want Pearson to find a way to integrate the original Keepers in a way that feels natural but doesn't necessarily derail the story. I feel like his best way to do that is to have the original Keepers kind of work like how the parents did in the original books, where we did flash to them every once in a while, but they never really had any sort of significant role. At least most of the parents did. Mrs. Whitman was a little bit different because she was a lot more involved with the Keepers, but the original Keepers need to have a role, obviously, but I don't want it to be huge, because I feel like if it is really big, it's going to distract from whatever is going on with the new generation of the Keepers. And obviously have a feeling that this is going to largely be about the kids, because we can obviously see from the original cover that it's literally the kids of the Kingdom Keepers. So again, that's going to be the main focus, but I don't want Pearson to completely forget about the original Keepers, and I have a feeling he's not, but what I want is just them to have some sort of role, but not too huge. Because again, if they did have a huge role, it could distract from the overall story, and I really want to see how the new generation of Kingdom Keepers can stand on their own without having to largely piggyback off the backs of the original Keepers. I want to see how this new generation can stand alone, and I have faith that Pearson is going to be able to find a balance, but I'm kind of apprehensive, but I'm pretty hopeful about how this is going to work as far as the time split and how much the original Keepers are involved within this book. I have a suspicion Finn and Amanda are largely going to be the parents that the book focuses on, which kind of makes sense to me, because Finn, as the de facto leader of the Keepers, is going to be a lot more involved with them. At the end of the Return series, he's basically become the new Wayne. So I feel like it would make sense for Finn to be a lot more involved with the Keepers, and the main character seems to be his kid, so this makes complete sense that we're going to jump between him and Amanda a lot more than the others. I feel like the others are going to be there in some capacity, but they're going to serve a largely the same role as the parents in the original book. They're just largely not there. I don't think they're going to be entirely absent. That would just be weird, but I have a suspicion that they're going to have a reduced role in the book, which is completely fine. I want to see what Pearson can do with this new generation of Keepers without having to overly rely on the original generation. So I'm really excited to see how well the new Keepers can hold their own without having to rely on the old Keepers for fan service and nostalgia. I want to just see how Pearson is able to make these characters into their own, and I have a good feeling he's gonna do a really good job with it. Okay, so switching over to the second thing I really want to talk about and see is the new generation of keepers. As far as what I'm thinking, I really hope that Pearson is able to differentiate the new generation and the old generation, just to give the new generation a different feel. Because honestly, I feel like they are going to feel a lot different, because with all these kids, with their parents being DHIs, based on what we read from the synopsis, there seems to that there is. They obviously are going to have special powers. They already said that in the synopsis for the book, but I want to see what Pearson does and just how different these powers are. Because Finn's kid is obviously going to be way overpowered, because his dad's the like de facto most powerful DHI, and the kid's mom is a fairy with really intense powers. So Finn's kid is going to be overpowered. I want to see what the other powers of the other kids are going to be, because I feel like Pearson is going to have them feel a lot more distinctive than the original keepers, and the powers are largely, I think, going to be a part of that. We're going to have a scenario where it's going to feel familiar, but again, it's going to feel a lot different than the original books. And I completely have faith in Pearson that he's able to pull this off. I'm just really ready to see what he does and just the different powers that the kids might have. Again, Finn and Amanda's kid is going to be overpowered, but I wonder what Maybeck and Charlene's kid's powers is going to be. I really want to see what this new generation can do, because the synopsis hasn't really given us a whole lot. We only know about one of the Keepers' kids. I have a feeling that they're going to be multiple kids of the Keepers, and each of them is going to have a distinct power, and I just cannot wait to see those powers and just to see the personalities of the new Keepers. And I'm just really ready for this book to come out. So that being said, I don't want this new team to feel like a carbon copy of the original team. Now, I have faith in Pearson that he's going to be able to do this pretty well, but I hope he changes the new team up enough that it's not seeing the same thing from the team all over again. I want this team to work differently than the original team did. And again, I have faith in Pearson that he's going to be able to do this. I'm kind of just looking to see how he differentiates this team, and I really hope it does feel different, and I feel like it will, but I'm kind of getting ready to see the same tropes, and I really hope that's not the case, but it is what it is. It's going to be a good team. I just want this team to work a lot differently than the original team did. What I mean by that is, I don't want to see Finn's kid being the leader the entire time, even though that's most likely what's going to happen. But I don't want, like, Charlene and Maybeck's kid to be the artist. Like, I don't want the kids to represent the same roles that their parents did. I have a feeling that Pearson's not going to do that, but I really hope he's able to distinguish each kid differently from their parents. Like, again, I don't want the kids to just be a combo of the two parents, and I have faith that Pearson's not going to do that, but I am more concerned that this is going to end up being a carbon copy. I have a feeling that it's not, but I kind of am worried that it might be. This book isn't going to be bad, but I have a feeling that there's going to be some familiar stuff, and I'm okay with that, but I'm really hoping that there isn't a whole ton of familiar things. So one of the ways I think Pearson can really distinguish the new Inheritance series from the original Kingdom Keepers books is how he's going to use the Overtakers in this new book. I'm not entirely surprised that the Overtakers are still in this series. It makes sense. The Kingdom Keepers have always fought the Overtakers. It's kind of the traditional villain group the Keepers have to go up against, and that's fine. I kind of accept that. It is what it is. I kind of expected that the Overtakers would be a thing after I read the synopsis for Inheritance, so it is what it is. But with that being said, I do think Pearson needs to really differentiate how the Overtakers in the Inheritance series work versus how they worked in the original series. I'm really talking about, we need to either have new villains take over command of the Overtakers and have different threats and do something like that, which could be cool. But what I really hope is going to happen is have the Fairleys be a bigger thing, and I'll talk about why I really want to see the Fairleys in Inheritance more in the next section, but I really want Pearson to be able to sort of integrate the Fairley threat and the Overtakers, because the Return series really made evident was the Overtakers and the Fairleys are basically one and the same. They were both constructed by Hillingsworth, and they are both part of his grand plan to destroy Disney in the series. So it makes complete sense to me to meld the two together and to make one bigger threat for the new Kingdom Keepers to deal with. Because I really want this to just be the next step in the evolution of the Kingdom Keepers series. Because the Kingdom Keepers destroyed the Overtakers, but the Overtakers are back, but with the help of the Fairleys, and the Keepers are going to need something more, hence their kids and their inherent magic powers that they're going to end up having. So that's what I really want. The Overtaker thing is maybe the one thing I'm kind of apprehensive about, because I really don't want a rehash of the original Overtakers. Because like I said, I want this book to be all about the next generation stepping up. The next generation of the Fairleys and the next generation of the Kingdom Keepers and whatever next generation of the Overtakers is left. That is what needs to happen as far as the Overtakers. I'm not saying that having the Overtakers is a bad thing. It still makes sense. They still have a place in the story, but for the Overtakers to work in the story, at least to me, they need to have a slightly reduced role in the series and play more of a secondary villain role to the Fairleys and whatever remnant of Hillingsworth's allies are left. Like, I want to explore more of the Fairleys in Inheritance because the new Kingdom Keepers are essentially Fairleys, so it makes sense. The Overtakers, again, still have their place, but I really want Pearson to focus more on the newest generation of Keepers and Fairleys, and not so much the Overtakers. I know I kind of seem negative on the Overtakers being in this book, and again, I'm gonna show you guys I'm not. I understand why the Kingdom Keepers have to fight the Overtakers. It's obviously their traditional villain, but again, I am apprehensive of Pearson over-relying on the Overtakers. I have faith that he's going to find a good balance, but I really hope that the Overtakers aren't overused and we still have new threats for the new Kingdom Keepers to take on, and it's not just a repeat of the original series and the Overtaker Kingdom Keeper conflict. Kind of going along with this point is I really want to see what happens to Greg Lewowski and all the rest of the Barracks 14 Fairleys. A really big part of the Return series overall was the proper introduction of Barracks 14. Throughout the books, we had kind of heard about Barracks 14, but we never got a good look at the Barracks and what it's all about until its proper introduction in Syndrome. And that is really cool because I definitely want to see what happens to all the Fairleys, because I'm pretty sure not all of them are going to want to find a way to coexist with Disney. I think a lot of them are still going to believe in Hillingsworth's ideology and still follow it. And I really do think that the Fairleys from Barracks 14 have a really good place in the story that can work to show that these guys are still around and still cause a threat. I really want that for the Barracks 14. As far as Greg Lewowski goes, I want to see what his story entails, because I honestly think it's going to go one of two ways. Option one, he either completely breaks away from the Barracks and has completely renounced it and his fight against the Kingdom Keepers, and we sort of got a Harry Draco situation where they are on good terms, but they're definitely not friends. I could see that being the case, or option number two, Greg Lewowski has completely bought into Hillingsworth's ideology, has become the new Hillingsworth for the Barracks. I really want to see what happens with that, because Greg Lewowski and the Barracks were some of the best parts of Syndrome. So I really am looking forward to what happens, because again, they had such potential and were really well used, but I want to see more of them, and Inheritance is definitely the best place for both Greg Lewowski and the Barracks to make their reintroduction and to give us a better look into what's been going on within the time skip between the end of the Return series and when this picks up. So I'm really hoping that Pearson finds a way to use Greg Lewowski and the Barracks into this book. If he doesn't, it will be a very big missed opportunity, but I really think that Pearson is going to use the two of them in some sort of interesting way. Alright guys, thank you for making it to the end of the video. I am really excited for the Kingdom Keepers series. So, as you guys know, I have not done the Return series yet. So, that is coming next. Next couple videos will be a review for the Syndrome and all of the Return books. And then I think I'm going to do a big Kingdom Keepers catch-up type video. And that'll probably come out the week before the book drops. And then obviously as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to read that book and I will give you guys a review when that comes out. I am really looking forward to this. So please, if you guys like the Kingdom Keepers, don't forget, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss any of that. If you guys are excited for the Kingdom Keepers Inheritance and want to just talk about it, leave your thoughts about the next book down in the comments. I really want to talk to you guys about this because I am really psyched and I have had a lot of comments saying that you guys are really excited. So please leave me your thoughts down in the comments and let's have a really big discussion about the book. As always, if you have book recommendations you want me to do reviews on in the future, don't be afraid to leave those down in the comments. If you guys want to follow me on social media, my Instagram is Riley Murray Book Reviews. My Facebook is also Riley Murray Book Reviews, and my Twitter is Riley T. Murray. I will leave links to all those accounts down in the description. Also, I have created a Discord account, which is just Riley Murray Book Reviews, like everything else. And there you guys can also drop book recommendations. And the Discord is going to be another place where I will let you guys know when the live streams are going to start. So if you guys have a Discord or want to check it out, I will leave a link down to the Discord in the comments. Alright guys, till next time, I will see you guys later. Till then, have a great week, and don't forget, keep on reading.